Good morning everyone. Okay, so in today's class we shall discuss about the various sewer appurtenances. Okay, in the previous class we have discussed about the low cost wastewater treatment methods, which includes oxidation pond and various types of oxidation ditch and its arrangements, like based on the depth they are classified as the three different types of oxidation pond, that is aerobic, anaerobic and facultative ponds. Okay, and maturation ponds and the oxidation ditches with some aeration arrangements and all. Okay, so in today's class, we shall discuss about the other sewer appurtenances. So what are these sewer appurtenances? Okay, so like I was telling you in the previous slides, that the sewerage system consists of various pipes appurtenances which are required for effective functioning of the sewerage system. That is, once if the storm water and also the wastewater is generated, that should be taken in closed conduits from the point of its generation until it is disposed. Okay, so sewage, as you know, it contains lot of organic and inorganic impurities, which includes fat, oil and grease, ricks, some form of silt, broken twigs, tree branches, then some cloth pieces, whatever the storm water picks up whenever it falls on the ground. So it picks up many impurities, like the organic and inorganic impurities. Okay, and these impurities or these materials, they may settle and they may clog the sewers. In that case, we should maintain the self-cleansing velocity in the sewerage systems to reduce the choking problems. Okay, and also these chokings have to be removed from time to time. Okay, so to facilitate and maintain all these things, so we have different units, that for those units we call it as sewer appurtenances. Okay, so they have to be constructed along the lines of the sewerage system. So these structures are called as sewer appurtenances. So what are these sewer appurtenances? Okay, in this diagram you can see. Okay, so imagine this as a public toilet, or maybe toilet from your house or apartment or whatever it is. Okay, whenever the waste is generated, remember we have two types of waste waters which has to be collected, which includes dry weather flow and wet weather flow. Okay, this is called as gully trap. Through the trap, the waste is collected through this lateral sewer. Okay, so this is the starting point of the sewerage system. It is called as the trap along with the lateral sewer system. So this lateral is connected to the maybe a branch or sub-main sewer, and it comes to the main sewer, through which it will be carried to the sewage treatment plant. Okay, so similarly we have to also collect the rainwater or storm water, so whichever is collected on the rooftop of your house. Okay, so that is taken in a separate storm water sewer which is running here. So remember, both of these may be present underground. Okay, so these are the things which you already know. So apart from this, we also have some other devices like catch basins, then flushing devices, stormwater regulators, inverted siphons, oil and grease traps, lamp holes, leaping weirs and junction chambers, and manholes. Okay, so for your syllabus, so manholes and catch basins are kept in detail. So whereas other devices are also present for effective functioning of the sewerage system. Okay, so now let us see in detail what are these manholes and what is meant by catch basins, how they are located, and what is its function. Okay, so manholes, as you have seen while moving along the roads, okay, so they are the RCC or masonry chambers constructed on the sewer lines to facilitate a man to enter the sewer line and make the necessary inspection and repairs. Okay, so these are usually fitted with suitable cast iron covers, or nowadays it is being cast iron covers are replaced by the cement concrete covers. Okay, so because the cast iron covers, there are some cases of reported wherein these cast iron manholes have been stolen, and because of that many people have died in the manholes due to the absence of the covers. Okay, and also these are susceptible to the corrosion and all. That's why nowadays these cast iron covers and all, it is being replaced by cement concrete or the masonry chambers. Okay, so these manholes are installed at every point wherever there is a change in direction, change in pipe size, or the change in the considerable change in the gradient. Okay, so like when you move from the point of generation to the point of disposal, so you have so many setbacks. Like you can say you may be having a change in the direction, so you have to change your sewer pipe in a X or Y direction. Okay, and there could be change in the diameter of the size of the sewer. That is, when you move from lateral to the outfall sewer, the diameter keeps on increasing. That is, the diameter of the lateral sewer is small, the branch sewer is relatively bigger, then the main sewer is having relatively bigger diameter, then the outfall sewer will be having relatively bigger diameter. Okay, it is for the obvious reason that as you move upwards, the quantity of the wastewater generated will be more. Okay, so in that case, at every point we have to have these manholes. Okay, so these are required for the change in direction and change in pipe flow, and also if there are some any blockages, a person should easily enter into this chamber to clear the blockages. Okay, and as far as possible, the sewer lines between two subsequent manholes should be straight. Okay, the central distance between manholes is less for sewer of smaller size, while it may be have such a size that man can easily enter in the working chamber. The minimum size advisable is 50 centimeter. Okay, so that a person can easily enter into the manhole for the repair and maintenance works. Okay, then what is the location and spacing of these manholes? Okay, so these manholes, like I told you, they are provided at regular intervals wherever there is a change in the direction at every bend and junction or gradient or change in the diameter of the sewer. Okay, so it is necessary to provide the manhole at those locations. Okay, so usually unless it is a practical difficulty, we should see that the sewer should be led in a straight line between two manholes. Okay, the space between the manholes in such a case, it depends mainly on the size of the sewers. Okay, if the diameter of the sewer is larger, the greater will be the spacing between the manholes. Okay, so this about the location and spacing. Okay, and also as per IS standards, so there is a recommended spacing on the straight stretches based on the diameter of the sewer. That is, in previous slide we saw that if the diameter of the sewer goes on increases, then the spacing also will be more. Okay, so this is for obvious reason that for the smaller for the smaller sewers, the chances of blockages are more. Okay, hence to facilitate easy transfer of wastewater in the sewers, since the diameter is less, the less spacing is recommended as per IS standards. Okay, so here in this case, if the diameter of the sewer is up to 0.3 meter, then the spacing between the stretch is 45 meter. If it is 0.6 meter, then 75 meter. If the diameter of the sewer is up to 0.9 meter, then it is 90 meter. Okay, if it is up to 1.2 meter, it is 120 meter. If the diameter of the sewer is 1.5 meter, then it is 250 meter. If the diameter is greater than 1.5 meter, then the spacing will be 300 meter as per the standards. Okay, so how do you classify the manholes? Okay, so normally we classify manholes based on the depth. Okay, so we call them as shallow manholes if the depth of the manhole varies between 0.7 to 0.9 meter. Then we call normal manholes if the depth is up to 1.5 meter, and we call deep manholes if the depth is greater than 1.5 meter. Okay, so and also depending upon the location of location of the manholes, we classify them as straight or through manholes. This is the simplest type of manhole which is built on a straight run of sewer with no side junctions. Okay, so like in previous slide we discussed that based on the diameter of the sewer we will locate the manholes at regular intervals. Okay, so it is just a manhole which is provided along the sewer lines, and based on its location it is called as a straight or through manhole. It is located at regular intervals on the sewers. Then the second type we call it as junction manhole. Okay, so as the name itself suggests, so this type of manhole is constructed at every junction. Junction means where two or more sewers meet. Okay, so usually what happens when you have a when you have a lane perpendicular to each other in a layout, okay, so then you have a junction. That is, you will have a one sewer line coming from x direction and one more sewer line coming perpendicular to the x direction. That is called as junction, okay, or a T type of formation. Wherever you find out in a layout, that position we call it as junction. Or else you may be having a curved portion. In that case, we can call that manhole as junction manholes, okay. So side entrance manhole in large sewers where it is difficult to obtain direct vertical access to the sewer from the top ground level, so due to some obstructions like pipelines of gas, water, so that we call it as side entrance manhole, okay. So what happens in below the ground, so apart from the sewer lines, you may be having some other pipelines also, like water mains. Nowadays you may be also having the optical fiber cable lines, OFC cable lines. Then you have the separate dedicated gas pipelines, okay, so which are coming up these days, okay, in top metro cities by Gas Authority India Limited and all. So under that circumstances, we may not get the direct vertical access, okay. So that's why we will construct a manhole. So that kind of manhole we call it as side entrance manhole, okay. So then another type of manhole is called as a drop manhole, okay. Sometimes this is usually out of when one manhole is asked for the exams, okay. So with a need sketch explain deep manhole or drop manhole, okay, with a need sketch, okay. So remember the difference between deep manhole and drop manhole, okay. In the construction both are similar, but whereas we call the drop manhole as the one, so wherever we find a difference in elevation between invert level and branch sewer, then we will have this drop manhole, okay. In some cases what happens, it is difficult to connect the branch sewer and main sewer, okay. So depending upon the gradient at a particular site location, okay. Under that circumstances, we will construct a manhole, we will connect the sewer and then we will connect it to a main sewer. That kind of sewer we call it as drop manhole, okay. So this is how the section of a manhole, okay, which look like, okay. So first coming to this shallow manholes, like I was telling in the previous slide, so the depth is around 0.7 to 0.9 meter. So it is usually constructed at the start of the branch sewer or at a place not subjected to very heavy traffic conditions, okay. So these are simple square chambers of 0.7 to 0.9 meter in deep, okay. So this is the main sewer and this portion we call it as benching, okay. So this is provided to support the sewer and at the top it is provided with a cast iron or cement concrete cover, okay. Like nowadays I told you the cast iron covers are not usually used, okay. So we use the cement concrete cover, okay, and we provide the footrest at a spacing of around 250 to 300 mm for the facilitation for a person to enter into the manhole, okay, to ascend or descend into the manhole for cleaning and maintenance purposes, okay. So this is called as shallow manhole, okay. So you have another manhole called as normal manhole based on the depth, okay. So these manholes are 1.5 meter deep with dimension 1 meter by 1 meter square or rectangular with 1.2 meter into 0.9 meter at the top, okay. So this is for again same obvious reason that the person should easily enter, okay. So if it is a square, it is 1 meter by 1 meter. If it is a rectangular one, it will be 1.2 by 0.9 meter. If it is a circular, it will be around 1 meter, so that for easily a man should enter into this chamber, okay. So these are provided with little heavy cover to support the anticipated traffic load, okay. So this is also similar, as you can see, similar to the shallow manhole, but only difference is the depth is quite more, okay. So it may be one bricking thick, okay, if it is a masonry one, or if it is a cement concrete type. So or some nowadays we also have the precast manholes, okay, so which can also be used in the sites, because the construction of masonry sometimes will take time, okay. So nowadays we also have the, but for designated depths we can construct the precast manholes, okay. And now this is called as deep manhole, okay. So like the name itself, if the depth is more than 1.5 meter, under that circumstance we call this as deep manhole, okay. So here in this deep manhole, So the upper portion is slightly provided with an offset. Okay, if it is circular one. Okay, so what we have something like this structure here. Okay, an offset is provided. Okay, so just to provide the resistance against the stresses of the earth. Okay, so because it is usually located below the ground. Okay, so if you provide an offset, it will resist more strength compared to the normal straight section. Okay, here these are provided with heavy cover, and it is having the access shaft to enter into the manhole, and it is having the steps for the ascending and descending into the manhole, and this is the main sewer, and this bottom portion we call it as benching, which is shown as here. Okay, so this is the main sewer, and this is called as benching, which is it is at a slope of 1:2. Okay, so it is provided to collect the sewage from branch sewer to the main sewer. Okay, so this is how it is connected. Okay, so from the branch to main sewer, and this is the branch sewer which is running through this deep manhole, and this area we call it as working chamber. Okay, so this is called as deep manhole. Okay, it can also be constructed precast, or it can be constructed using brick and masonry works. Now we call it as drop manhole. Okay, so it is similar to the deep manhole, but provided so this is having a vertical drop here. Okay, so this is called as the drop manhole. So like I was telling you, when you cannot directly connect to a branch sewer to the main sewer, here what happens? So if the gradient will not permit us to directly connect with a reasonable distance between the branch sewer and main sewer, under such circumstances we will provide a drop pipe, or it is a vertical pipe, which is called as drop manhole. Okay, so we will provide under such circumstances a drop manhole, which is as shown in the figure. Okay, so imagine this is a branch sewer running here, and this is the vertical pipe through which it is connected to the main sewer. Okay, so if you directly connect, then there is a splashing of the sewer, and also if the person is entering, then it becomes difficult for him to work under the full capacity whenever the wastewater is present in the manhole. Okay, so to avoid all those things, what we do is we will provide a vertical drop here, so that this pipe can be used to connect to the main sewer. Okay, so that is why it is called as a drop manhole. Okay, so these are connected through a vertical pipe. Okay, and remember here, this is provided if the difference in level is more than 60 centimeter between branch and main sewer. Like I was telling you, if the difference in elevation is more, we'll go for drop manhole. Okay, so unlike deep manhole, so it is having the parts which is as shown here. So this is access shaft, so this is provided to enter into the manhole. This is working chamber. Okay, this area where a person can easily work, and this is called as bottom or invert level of the sewer. Okay, then we have these side walls. Okay, then we have steps or ladders to ascend or descend. Then we will have a cover at the top. Okay, so this access shaft minimum size is of around 1.2 to 0.9 meter if it is rectangular, and the diameter may be up to 0.6 to 0.7 or maybe up to 1 meter. Okay, if it is a circular one, depending upon the site conditions. Okay, but minimum diameter should be 0.6. Okay, this is for easy access into the manhole. Okay, so that a person who is working or entering into the manhole should easily enter during maintenance and cleaning. Okay, then working chamber, this is the space provided just below the access shaft to help a sewer man or woman in easy inspection and cleaning of the sewer. Like I told you, whenever there are obstacles or blockages, the person should enter and they should inspect and clean, and also during construction they may have to enter for joining the sewers and all. Okay, so that's why that area we call it as working chamber. Then we call it as benching. Okay, so benching is the area which is provided below the sewer, okay, which is as a support. Okay, then we have the steps. Okay, I showed you. Okay, the steps are provided if the manhole is deeper for ascending and descending, and the walls around the manhole can be constructed by using RCC or masonry. Okay, so the cover it can be made up of cast iron. Nowadays the cast irons are obsolete because of the corrosion or because of the theft cases. No, they are not being used. Okay, so they are made up of concrete nowadays of thickness 0.2 to 0.3 meter. Okay, 200 to 300 mm thickness of covers are used. Okay, the minimum size of the cover should be 0.45 to 0.6 meter if it is rectangular, and the minimum diameter is 0.5 to 0.6 if it is a circular one. Okay, so then we have something called as street inlets and catch basins. Okay, so these are provided to collect the storm water. Okay, so whenever you collect the water from your houses, which is collected in a separate storm water sewer. Okay, so during rain the excessive accumulation of the water is accumulated on the ground. If the runoff is very less, or if there is no proper removal mechanism for this to collect this storm water, okay, so then it may also lead to the condition of known as flooding. Okay, the street will be full. Okay, it becomes difficult for transportation. In that cases we will provide the something called as street inlets. Okay, so they are again further classified based on its opening into vertical inlet and horizontal inlet. Okay, here the clear opening of this should not be more than 25 mm. The connecting pipe from the street inlet to the sewer should be minimum of 200 mm diameter, and it should be laid with sufficient slope. Okay, a maximum of 30 meter is recommended between the inlets, which depends on the road surface, size and type of inlet and rainfall. Okay, so based on the average yearly rainfall, okay, the spacing is decided. Usually 30 meter of spacing is recommended from one street inlet to another street inlet. Okay, so this is the image of the street inlet where you can see here. Okay, so this is the combined inlet, what we call. Okay, so it is, so like I told you, we have two types of inlet. Okay, so one is called as curved inlet, vertical inlet and horizontal inlet. Okay, so if the water is entering vertically, then we call it as curved inlet or vertical inlet. Okay, so these are vertical openings provided in the road curves through which the storm water enters the storm water drain. Okay, so these are preferred when heavy traffic is anticipated. Okay, so we have also something called as gutter inlet or horizontal inlets. Okay, so these inlets have horizontal openings which is covered one or more grating through which the storm water is admitted. Okay, then mostly nowadays we prefer the combined inlets. Okay, so because they act as a single unit. Okay, so they are normally placed right in front of curved inlets. Okay, so this you can see here. So this is an image. This is a combined inlet. Okay, so this is the vertical inlet and this is the horizontal inlet. Okay, water will enter directly with a, so this is the one, this is called as horizontal, and here water enters vertically, and below this you will find the storm water drain. Okay, and this is how the storm water is collected from the road surfaces by providing the inlets. Okay, so there are two types, remember here, vertical and horizontal. So vertical inlet is also called as curved inlet, and horizontal inlet is also called as gutters or gutter inlet, and this is a combined inlet. Sometimes we will have both vertical and horizontal as shown in the diagram here. So these two are combined, and this is the combined inlet which is used to collect the storm water. Okay, so then we have something called as catch basins. Okay, so the catch basins are structures of pucca chamber and a stout cover. Okay, so these are relatively stronger. These are also meant to collect the rainwater, but along with that we also have some area to collect the sand and grit debris. Okay, so this will remove the initial grit and silt matter, so before entering into the sewerage system. Okay, so here along with the similar grating which is at the top. Okay, so a curb is provided vertically and the cover is grating, and it is a road surface and it is the footpath. Okay, whenever the storm water enters into this, okay, so we will have a catch or hood pipe which is connected, and sometimes if in this catch basin, this area is meant to collect the sand the silt and debris. Okay, so because if sand and grit particles enter the sewerage system, so due to the abrasive action, it may damage the pumps and the other units of the sewerage system. Okay, so here the hood is provided here to prevent the escape of this sewer gases. Okay, so, and they are usually not recommended nowadays, because if there is a water here, so then it becomes the breeding ground for the mosquitoes. Okay, see, then we have something called as cleanouts. Okay, so the cleanouts are the devices which are provided along the sewer lines. So whenever there are any blockages, what we do is, so we'll flush the water into this cleanout. Okay, if there are any blockages, then it gets cleaned up. Okay, so then this is called as the oil and grease trap. Okay, so here what happens, these are again located wherever we have these garages or the big kitchens for bigger restaurants and hotels. So if this oil and grease enters into the sewerage system, then it will cause the problems, okay, in the sewerage system, because it will affect the bacterial growth, and also it will disturb the degradation of the organic matter. So that is why before entering this oil and grease into the sewerage system, we will prevent by the installation of this oil and grease taps. Okay, so this is the inlet of oil and grease tap, and some the solids gets accumulated here, and the oil and grease, it will be accumulated at the top, and we will through this outlet, the waste water is led to the sewerage system. Okay, we also have regulators or leaping weirs. So under these are provided when the discharge is small. Here in this case, what happens, sometimes these are provided in the combined sewerage system. Okay, so in this case what happens is, sometimes if the rainwater is excess, okay, the storm water leaps across this opening and it is diverted through this leaping weir. Okay, so it is usually provided in the combined sewerage system. Okay, and that water is directly, it goes to a stream or a river. Okay, so then sometimes we also have the overflow weir. Okay, so these are also structures which are part of the sewerage system. Okay, so this is a weir, so where the excess sewage is allowed to overflow in the channel. Okay, so these are part of the sewer appurtenances, but for your syllabus they have kept the catch basins and manholes. Okay, but just for your understanding, and you should know the importance of these devices, because nowadays the flooding and all, it is very common. So to avoid those problems, we should have the proper sewer appurtenances in place for effective functioning of the sewerage system. Okay, so and that is the end of the sewer appurtenances. Okay, like I was telling you, we should properly locate the manholes, the street inlets, catch basins, overflow leaping weirs, etc. Okay, so for effective management of both stormwater as well as the wastewater. But under extreme conditions where sometimes beyond our prediction the rainwater gets exceeds, under that circumstances we cannot avoid the flooding, but we should be prepared for that, for the maximum runoff, so that the city have the aesthetic appearance, and we should not disturb the people or citizens by proper functioning of all these devices and maintaining them properly. Okay, and in the previous class, okay, we have discussed about this the septic tank. Okay, so I just want to have a small video illustration on this. Okay, so septic tank are the devices wherein we use this wherever we cannot provide the sewerage system for individual houses or for smaller communities. Okay, so whenever this waste is it is collected in this chamber, and it is adjacent to it we have something called as soak pit. Here these are the two chambers. Here the waste gets deposited here and it will be decomposed. Okay, and this is called as it is a porous pipe which is placed under the soil. Okay, so this is called as soak pit, through which the clean water the clean or treated water from this septic tank is entered into the adjoining soil, okay, and this will be helpful for the adjacent vegetation. Okay, so we'll stop at this stage.